Okay, we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Yay. This is day 3. Yes, day 3. I was like, is it day 3? Yes, it's day 3 of the Healer's Paradigm. So here we are, day 3. I'm going to do a microphone check. So as you are joining, say hello in the chat. Let me know that you can hear me. Let me know that we are all good to go. I am so excited. As you can see, I clearly have some stuff going on here with my necklace. Let's just do that. There we go. Here we go. Okay. I'm so excited, you guys. Today is day 3. Yay! Hello, everyone. Okay, you guys can hear me. Sweet. I am so excited. Hello, hello, hello. Yay. Okay. Oh, I appreciate you all so much. Yes, I'm so excited that you guys are joining in live. Yay! Oh my gosh, I hope you all are having the most wonderful Thursday. Had to think about that one for a second. Thursday. Um, this is day 3 of the Healer's Paradigm. So, if you are just coming across this video right now, definitely go and check out day 1 and day 2. I'm going to put all of these videos inside of a playlist on my channel, and I'm also going to link it at the end of this video. So, meaning that if you're watching me on the recording, you'll be able to see at the end of this video when it ends, like a little thing that pops up that's like, "Yo, do you want to watch the full playlist?" And go back to day 1 and day 2 if you have not seen those yet. Okay, or if you want to review them, whatever. So that's going to happen. So at any time, if you are wanting to come back to these videos, you can. They will be on a playlist on my channel. So that will be here for you. Yay. Hello. Okay. Let me see. CM and Larissa, Brandy, Veronica, Catherine, Sai. I hope I'm saying it right. Jenny, so good to see you. Friday here now. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes, that's awesome. So you must be in Australia. Is it Australia? Let me know. I'm, like, almost at the end of the very last on the Pacific Coast. So, yeah, everyone else is ahead of me. So let me know how Friday's going. Is Friday gonna be a good day? Yeah, Australia, that's so awesome. I just love the internet and connecting us with, like, people all over the world. It's so good. Okay, so the last couple days, so let me just do a really quick recap, and then we're gonna move into today. Today is all about clarity and really being able to hold that clear vision for yourself, understanding how to, even have that clear vision for yourself, how to create the path of freedom and fulfillment for yourself, and what it looks like to actually bring your gifts into an, like real world applicable form, so to speak, right? And how to really live in that energy. So that's what we're talking about. So as you can see, so from day 1, we talked about the calling, right? How this whole journey as a healer starts with first receiving that calling, right? And receiving that knowing that's just like, oh, right, there's something more for me here. There's something that I meant to do. There's a mission that my soul has come here to accomplish, right? So starts with the calling. That was day 1. Then day 2, it talks about the connection, right? We talked about the connection between your gifts and your personal journey, and how your gifts are developed through your journey, and the difference between your abilities and your gifts, because those are two different things. They are connected, but they're different. And how you can start to develop your gifts starting today. So if you have not seen that, go watch day 2 after you watch this one. And so then today, so you can see that there's like this order, so to speak, of like first the calling, then we start to develop our gifts, we start to become aware of our abilities and our connection to spirit. And then day 3 today is the clarity, right? The clarity in terms of, okay, what am I here to do? Or how does this actually look like for me? Like, okay, I'm, connecting with the angels or with my guides, with spirit, with the universe. I'm bringing healing to myself. I'm seeing my gifts developing into how I bring through spiritual energy that it creates transformation. So, how do I actually apply this now? How do I actually apply this to my life? How do I actually apply this to my work as a healer? What does that what does that even look like, right? I think that's the big question that a lot of people ask is like, okay, great, like I'm a healer, but what does that actually mean, or what does that look like? So that's what we're going to be talking about today, for you to, and I'm going to give you a step-by-step process for you to think about, and it's going to be a lot of journaling. So have your notebook out and ready to write down these questions. And if you don't, you can, like I said, always watch the replay. The replay will be here. So if you want to just listen today or listen right now, and then when you have your notebook, come back and actually like write out these questions and journal on them and think about them, that is perfect too. Okay. So, so this is a lot of this, reflection and journaling and really bringing forward truth onto a piece of paper. And this is what I do love about journaling is that once we kind of start writing, we have these journal prompts to help us. It like there's almost like this, like the seed has been planted, and as you're writing, there's more and more and more and more that comes through. And before we realize it, we're like, oh, boom, I just had an epiphany, or I just light bulb moment, right? That gives us clarity. So your journal will be your best friend. Okay. And if I know I can already hear you, the people who are like, oh, I hate journaling. I hear you. I know. It's not always fun. But I promise that if you just are like, okay, fine, I'll just journal for the next 5 minutes and just give yourself like that. I'll just do it for 5 minutes. Fine. What's 5 minutes? Is it going to kill me? No. So, do that. Try that. Just do for 5 minutes and see where that takes you and how that feels for you. And then add another 5 minutes, or don't, whatever. But at least you did it for 5 minutes. Okay. So this is what we're going to be talking about is this clarity, bringing more clarity to you in terms of how to bring this forward in your life. Now, the first thing that I want to start off by saying is that who you are as a healer, like the term healer and what that means and what that looks like is going to be very, 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 very different for each person. And I've talked about this many times in the past. I've shared about this before, about how the core essence of a healer is someone who supports the transmutation of energy, right? Meaning that there's an energetic shift that happens through your words, through your creation, through your expression. So, whatever form in which you bring through this healing energy, right? Again, your gift, the way that you bring it through, it creates a shift in people's energy, is essentially what it is. So, if you think about it, have you ever read a book where you were reading it and it really like connected with you and really lit you up and really kind of like hit your heart, like hit home, and really supported you in elevating maybe your perspective or helping you to release old, something from the past or whatever, right? That whoever wrote that book is a healer because they just supported that transformation and that transmutation of energy. Same thing if you've ever listened to a song, and if you've ever listened to a song and it's brought you to tears, or it helped you to connect to the energy of joy, or whatever the thing may be, helps you to feel inspired, right? That artist who created that song is a healer because they created this transformation energetically for other people. And so in my opinion, a healer is much more like many more people are healers than they actually realize. You know what I mean? And then there's also the more traditional, so to speak, form of a healer who is working with energy, like hands on, whether it's hands on or, you know, the way that I do it, which is beyond space and time. Like I work with energy in a way where it's not necessarily has to be hands on healing. It's more of like the distance healing, right? But working with energy in that way and channeling energy, channeling the angels, that kind of thing, that's also, of course, part of being a healer. And then there's so much more. Those are just a few key examples to just show you how being a healer is not this like one little boxed in thing. There are so many ways in which you can bring your gifts to the world and bring your gifts to others to support this transformation. And I'm starting this conversation off by sharing that with you so that when we go through these journaling prompts and when you start to when you sit down and you start to think about these things, you're not already automatically trying to box yourself into this specific way. I think the stereotypical way of thinking about it, or at least that's how I first thought about when I first got into this whole world of energy healing, is I literally thought it was like hands-on healing. Like I thought that a healer was someone who did hands-on healing. That's it. Like, unless you're going to do hands-on healing, you're not a healer, right? Like, that was my perception at the very, very beginning of my journey. And, obviously there's so much more to that. It's included, but there's so much more. And so that's why I'm sharing that with you today, in case that is also maybe something that you've thought about or had the idea that that was all it was limited to, because it's not. Okay. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's start. So, the first thing that you want to do when it comes to really bringing for yourself this clarity for yourself, for your path, your journey, who you are, creating that life of fulfillment and freedom for yourself, is that you want to start by connecting with your soul's desires, right? Your soul's desires, in the sense of, and this is the first question, okay, how do I want to feel? So if you think of you and connecting with your soul, and actually before we even start this, the way that I love to really connect with that soul energy so that you're not coming from your brain thinking about this, but really coming from your heart, is to first center yourself and ground yourself in, like, when you're about to sit down to do this. Maybe you're doing it right now, maybe you're doing it afterwards, but grounding yourself, sitting with yourself, and just breathing, like taking a few moments to breathe, right? Like just a few breaths in, a few breaths out, and just really allowing yourself to be present here. And then what you're going to do is if this helps, you can bring your hands to your heart, or just bring your focus and awareness to your heart. And what you're going to do is you're also going to call in the divine energy to flow through you, right? So if you want to close your eyes and just imagine this for a second, where you feel the energy of the divine, you're calling on the divine to come in through your crown chakra. Your crown chakra is the magic key portal through which we really can connect with that energy. So through your crown chakra, feel your crown chakra being open, feel yourself pulling that energy down into your heart, feel how it fills up your heart, and feel how this opens up. It's almost like a key, like it opens up the connection, the portal to your soul, to your higher self, right? However you want to think of it. If you want to imagine your higher self, like literally standing here with you, you can do that, or simply feel the voice of your higher self, as your higher self is here within your heart, right? However you want to think of it. There's no specific right or wrong way to do it. Again, this is how I teach. I teach you a framework, and then I'm like, okay, but tweak it however you want to, however it feels best for you, right? So this is the framework, and you get to take this and kind of play with it and see, do I like to imagine my higher self sitting next to me, or do I like to imagine my higher self speaking to me through my heart, or whatever, right? So this is how I teach. Okay. In case you're wondering. So that's what you want to do when you're sitting with these questions. Okay. So now that we've gotten that down, the first question is, how do I want to feel? So think of it from the perspective of your soul, who has come here in your human experience, in your human body, and is like, I'm here to experience life, right? I'm here to live life and to be this human and to live in my greatest potential. How do I want to feel? Right? What are the feelings that really feel connected, that I feel most connected to? I remember for me, when I started this journey, one of the key feelings that I was connected to and am still connected to is the feeling of freedom. Freedom, like that just felt like such a liberation within me, within my body. And I think that a lot of people resonate with that. But it might not be your core feeling. You might have the feeling of connection, right? Or the feeling of what's another key one? It's like this like expansiveness. I want to feel expansive, or I want to feel love. Like that might be a core thing for you. So, and there's a million other ones. So what's the feeling? That's the first thing that you want to be aware of, is how do I want to feel? Right? If I think of my core, and obviously we are humans, we have so many different emotions and feelings that we experience on a daily basis. But if you think of the constant, right? The consistent feeling, what is that? Okay. For me, it was freedom, continues to be freedom, as an example. And then the next question is, how do I want my life to look? Right? So, how do you want your life to look? And one of the key ways that I think of this is that it's like I have this scene in my head that I always lean into, right? And it like involves me um like coming out to a balcony, okay? This beautiful balcony that has this beautiful, magnificent view. And that's like That's like my place. That's where I go, right? Whenever I think about the life, how I want my life to look, when I think about connecting back to my soul's desires, because sometimes we can get disconnected from them. Sometimes we kind of veer off the path. So this is always come brings you back. So have that for yourself. And if you haven't really thought about that before or connected with a specific like vision or environment, make one for yourself. Like, bring yourself to a place where that's your place, like your environment, right? So, like I said, for me, it's always this like balcony that has this beautiful, magnificent view. And it feels like it's just like so peaceful there, right? And I feel that energy that like, this is the life that I'm living where I get to just step onto this balcony and overlook this view and just have this beautiful experience. Like that is my core place that I go to. And obviously, that's like a very small snippet of what life looks like. But from there, I can imagine who I am. I can imagine who I am in terms of the life that I'm living. And so, one of the key things, again, that has always been, and it's connected to the freedom aspect, is that it's this feeling of freedom that I don't have to, like, that I don't have to wake up and I'm on someone else's routine or someone else's clock, aka working the corporate thing. You know what I mean? And if that is a thing for you where you're like, I enjoy that, like this is why we're all different, right? So there's nothing wrong with it. But for me, that was never a thing. That was never like I absolutely hated like having to set my alarm and having to get ready in the morning and being, at a desk for 8 hours a day and blah, 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 all the things, right? So, like, that was always a key thing, and that's one of the things that I feel too with that environment or that vision where it's like, "Oh, like, I'm so free here. I get to do what I want," right? Like, I've created a life where I'm on my own schedule type of thing. So, that's another aspect that helps to build this, and you really wanna connect with those that your soul's desires because this is kind of like the foundation that you're building from, right? Your soul's desires are always going to be an influence in a direction with regards to like the path that you're meant to walk and the path that you're meant to create for yourself. And this is one of the things that I always also share is that our soul's desires are like the breadcrumbs that lead us on our path of our truth, of our purpose, of who we're here to be. Right. So the way that you want to experience your life and the way that you feel and all of this has a very core influence that supports you, right? And that will support you with the next questions that we're going to get into in just a second. Okay. Um, that's massive for me too. Freedom, please. Yeah, totally. I totally hear you. I 1,000% agree with that, and I hear you. So, okay, so that's where you're gonna start. Okay, the first part of this is connecting with your soul desires and really getting clear on what that is. And like I said, create a visual for yourself so that you can always come back to that place when you feel disconnected, when you forget, when you're like maybe have veered off this path. You're like, oh wait, let me come back to that. And it's happened to me so many times where it's like I forget, but then every time I come back to that vision, I come back to that balcony that I visualize in my head and that I feel myself there. It's like I have this like beautiful like cup of coffee and it's just like that view and that peace and that freedom. It's like, oh, right. Right. This is what this is all based off of, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing that you're going to dive into is connecting to your soul's expression. Okay. So, one of the key things that is directly linked to your soul's fulfillment, like the feeling of fulfillment for you, for your soul, right? When you think of like if you think of your soul before it came onto earth as the human version of you, right? If you think of your soul and your soul was like, okay, I'm going to come onto earth and be this person, right? Like my soul being like, I'm going to be Christina and this is, you know, like this is who I will be as a human. And then there's the part of my soul that's like, okay, and this is the fulfillment. Like this is what I'm going to fulfill for myself. My soul is like, I'm going to be this human and as this human, I'm going to fulfill this like this type of expression for me, right? And so one of the key aspects for a soul is to be self-expressed, right? And so expression comes in so many different forms. So if we this is the thing, the way that this society is right now, although the paradigm is changing. This is part of the healer's paradigm. Why, as a healer, this is so important for you to step into this path and to follow what your soul's calling is, because we are shifting the paradigm. But with the old paradigm, it's like, no, like, what do you think? Like, you want to express yourself in this unique way? No, you fit into this box and you do this thing and you work this whatever, like, mundane job, and that's what you're going to do. Right? Like, that's the thing. And it's like, but what about like, and so our soul feels so stifled, right? And it almost feels like so foreign for our soul to actually like start to express itself. And I remember when I first started to be online, and meaning that I was starting to write posts or write emails, and I was starting to even like express myself through video. Like at first it feels really uncomfortable because it's like a weird connection. It's almost like your brain is like, "Wait, what do you mean? Like, you're just expressing your, like, opinion or your truth or whatever. You're bringing this expression forward in this specific way." And it feels really weird at first. But as you kind of get that engine running and you start doing it more and more, there's like this natural flow that comes through, and it creates this feeling of fulfillment within you, within your being, within who you are. And so anytime that I've ever kind of like maybe we'll say taken a break from being in the expression of myself. So most recent example is being on maternity leave, which of course is like I can't do all the things. Like obviously, like newborn baby, you got to focus on the baby. You got to focus on your healing. Like there's no time or space in the brain to even think about other things. But like what I will say, what has been my experience is that it's like at first when I was coming back to like doing client calls and teaching and all these things that I normally do, it was like, oh, like, wait, let me, like, get this engine running again. Because at first it felt weird, Like, when you take a break, you're like, "Wait, what's going on again?" And and there's also that feeling that's like, "Wait, I don't remember what I'm doing again. Like, who am I again?" But when you're in that expression of your soul, it's like you're in this flow with your soul, with your sense of fulfillment, with who you're meant to be. Do you know what I mean? And like I said, there's seasons of life, right? There's seasons of life where we are like going with the ebb and flow. But it always like the core aspect of this always comes back to the expression of your soul and how your soul desires to express itself, you know? So that's a huge thing for you to remember with this. So the first question is going to be, how do you feel most called to express yourself? Right? Like, how do you feel called to bring expression through you? It might be through speaking, it might be through writing, it might be through artwork, it might be through music, like, whatever. It might be creating something, being behind the scenes, but creating some sort of like organization or leading some sort of thing, like whatever. It's how does your soul desire to express itself, right? And only you will know that. And it might be very, very unique. Like I'm sharing very basic examples, but it might be a very unique way that your soul really feels like it desires to express itself, right? Another and a way that you can think of this, or that can help you kind of identify that, is thinking of the people who inspire you, or what you see people doing, that you're like, that's I want to do that too, or I want to do something like that. So for me, one of the biggest inspirations that started off my journey was when I came across Gabby Bernstein. I don't remember how I came across Gabby Bernstein, to be honest. Like, I just remember that I came across her YouTube video, and she was talking about something about light workers, and like this like the pull to do this, be a light worker. I don't remember what it was, but I just remember that came across this video and I was like, yes, like I felt so inspired by her, and I like binge watched all her things, and it was one of those things where I was like, yes, like I want to do something similar, right? I want to speak and share and write and do all these things. Like, so that was a huge inspiration for me. So for anyone that you might follow or that kind of initiated you into your path or journey, think about who inspires you. Think about what other people are doing, what people other people are creating, whatever, and allow that to inspire you and spark something within you and to show you how your soul desires to express itself as well. So that's going to be the first thing that you're going to look at. How do you feel most called to express yourself? And I'll just, make a little side note here that that can change. That might change over time, or you might have different ways that your soul desires to express itself. So just allow yourself to really sit with that. Sit with that question. Sit with who inspires you. Sit with what feels good to you, and then see what comes through. Okay. And then the second part to this, with your soul's expression, right? It's like, okay, I want to express myself through writing or speaking or this, and then it's like, well, what's the message that you're sharing, right? So what is the message you desire to share? And you can also think of it as, what do you stand very strongly behind? Like, what is the core message, or what is the core belief or the core energy, the truth that you stand behind, you know? And again, that can shift and change and evolve over time. So it's not something that, like, is just like, okay, you're stuck to that forever, but just seeing what is the message you desire to share. So I remember, for me, again, going back to the very beginning, like, the thing that was inspired most for me was the message that I felt called to sharing was around spirituality and our connection to the divine, and how that is such an important part of our experience in this lifetime, to discover what that is and to allow that energy to heal us and to grow us and to inspire us, and like, this connection to spirituality and how we are all these divine beings that are meant to live in our truest, fullest expression. Like, that was always such a core message for me, right? And over time, it's evolved as I discovered my gifts, and as I discovered my way of working with the angels, and how that was a big part of that message, right? So then the message expanded to include angels, and how angels are here to support us, and really using angels as a way to support our spiritual connection, our spiritual growth, our spiritual expression, living in our highest potential, right? So it kind of expanded from there. But the core, like, when I was first inspired, when I first found Gabby Bernstein, it was like, oh yeah, like, spirituality, that is what it is. And I remember thinking to myself, I want to be a spiritual teacher. Like, that's who I am. I'm a spiritual teacher. And then immediate thought after that was like, but I'm not experienced enough. So maybe one day, in like 20 years from now, that was my initial thought. Little did I know what was in store for me. I'm trying to think of when that was. I can't remember now. If it was either 2015 or 2016. I don't remember, one of those 2 years, somewhere in there, was when that happened for me. So yeah, here we are today. Okay. Let me see. I'm just going to catch up on comments before we move on to the third thing. Joy, I want to be having fun all the time. Yes, I love that. And I feel like that's a huge part. It's so funny that you say that, because I feel like that is a huge experience that our souls are here to have as well. And then also, I feel like a lot of the time, spirit is like, why are you taking things so seriously? Like, let's like have more joy here. So yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so I see that there was a glitch, but okay, hopefully it's all good. I think it might have been just you, CM, but I'll have to watch that back later. Okay, yeah, cool. You're back. It's all good. I'm glad. Awesome. I started with Gabby too. Yes, yes, she is awesome. Okay, so those are the two things that you're going to look at when it comes to your soul's expression. Okay. How do you feel most called to express yourself? And what is the message that you feel called to share? What do you stand behind? Okay. And again, allow these things to simply be a starting point that they get to evolve too. Don't try to, like, overwhelm yourself with all these things. Really keeping it simple is powerful. Simplicity is powerful. Okay. The third thing that you're going to connect to is your soul's impact. Okay. So, your soul's impact, meaning, what is the transformation or the journey that you are walking with people, or, whatever, with the community, the society, like whatever it is that you feel called, whoever you feel called to be connected to, or whoever the message is for, right? That you identified what we just talked about, you're going to connect to your soul's impact, meaning like, what is the transformation? What is the journey that you are walking with people, right? Because like, you can think of it this way, or, I'll share myself as the example is when I discovered my connection to the angels and really understood that that was like huge part of what I was going to be doing. I could have just left it as, here's information about the angels, right? Like, this is the angel, this is information about them, like whatever, that kind of thing. But there was a deeper impact in transformation that my soul wanted to share. And really, the core of that is the transformation of taking people, or the journey that I walk with people, from a place of either like feeling like a lack of clarity around who they are, not really knowing the purpose, or kind of knowing the purpose, but not really knowing how to bring it to life, and walking the journey to what it feels to be empowered in your truth, to be empowered in your gifts, to understand and really be able to use your connection for your purpose. You know what I mean? So going from like that lack of clarity, disempowerment, just like doubtful, disconnected, not feeling good enough, to, oh my gosh, like this is who I am and this is the impact that I'm here to create, and I'm moving, like I'm in it. I am doing it. This is who I am. So that's the journey that we walk together. And within that journey, there's a lot of different things that happen, right? There's a lot of healing that happens, letting go, releasing past, releasing fears and beliefs, all sorts of things like that, just soul discovery, soul connection, confidence building, like all of that is involved along the journey. But, and the angels are connected to that as well, obviously, right? Like that's the way in which I support people. So it could have just been, well, here's the angels. I'm just going to teach you about angels, but really the bigger impact that my soul is guiding me through to create and to share with people is the actual journey, right? The transformation that people get to experience through the work that I share, through the gifts that I share, all of that. So I want you to think of that for yourself. Like, what is the actual journey that you're walking people through, right? What is the journey? What is the impact? What is the transformation that you see is needed or desired, and that people need support with, right? That's where you come in. You come in with that support. You come in with those gifts. You come in with that clarity for other people to walk the path with them, so that they can become empowered, so that they can be more aligned to themselves, like whatever the thing is for you, right? I'm just sharing examples. That's what my thing was and is, So that's what you're going to do. The third thing is you're going to think about the impact, your soul's impact. Okay, so we started off with your soul's desires. Then we talked about your soul's way of expressing itself. And then now it's your soul's impact, right? And you can see how it all comes together. It all starting to form together, because each of these aspects are kind of like pieces of the puzzle, right? So think of it as pieces of the puzzle that all come together to support you in having the vision, having the clarity for the path that you're meant to follow, and how you're actually bringing this to life. Okay. So then the fourth thing is actually to start to bring all of that to life through specific ways in which you are creating or bringing that impact to the world, right? So this is through specific either kind of like projects or products, experiences that you create. It could be courses, programs, whatever you feel, again, like the way that you actually bring this to life is going to be unique to you. So again, it's tuning in, like all of these questions that I'm leading you through. I want you to do this with a hand on your heart, like what I guided you at the beginning. Don't go into your head. Okay. Don't go into the logical thing. Well, this is what makes most sense, or this is what other people are doing, so I should do it this way too. I really want you to look at this and do this from your heart, from your soul, because sometimes the answer might surprise you. Sometimes it might be like, oh yeah, I could never imagine myself doing that. And then your soul is like, no, that's how we're going to do it. Right? Your soul is like, that's the way. And you're like, are you sure? I don't know about that. Right? But I'm telling you, like, your soul knows the way. Your soul knows the pathway. It's a matter of listening and tuning in and then following through with that, right? That's a huge part. That's a huge thing that is a part of this is you can have that clarity, but then it's actually how do I get move into action? And I'll talk about that in a second. But that's kind of the fourth piece to this is how are you bringing this to life, right? Again, it could be through a specific project. It could be through products experiences, right? Programs, courses, whatever the thing is, that's what you want to also start to think about bringing it to life. Okay. So, those are kind of the core main pieces that come together to help you to really kind of take a step back and kind of see the overall vision and see how it all fits together, right? And one of the key things that I have recognized and understood is that when we follow the path of our soul's expression, the path of our soul's impact, it naturally forms the life around us that fulfills our soul's desires as well, right? So the desire of freedom, the desire of joy, the desire of peace, desire of love. Like, how do we actually create that desire for ourselves or fulfill that desire is through this impactful work and that soul fulfillment, the expression, right? It's all connected to that desire, right? That's why we started with that at the beginning because that's how you live in that by following what your soul is calling you to do with the expression with the impact, okay? And then you get to bring it to life through these different offers and in ways, okay? Now, so those are the four core pieces. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about is a really important part of this whole process is learning the embodiment and acceptance of your identity, right? I talk about this a lot, and especially in the Angelic Healer program, is the identity that we hold. Because one of the things that I've just observed and witnessed both within myself and with doing this work for many years now is that, we can have this desire of being a healer, connecting with the angels, like channeling, whatever, all these different things. But then when I ask people like, okay, like do you feel like you can put yourself out there that you can call yourself a healer? And immediately people are like, no, like freeze up, being saying it out loud, I am a healer feels very like, what do you mean? Right. And it feels very scary. It feels very like, I don't know if I can actually like claim that and say that yet. Right. Our mind goes in a million different directions. So it's the building of your identity and the embodiment of your identity and who you truly are. Right. And so the key thing that I have learned, and I've seen this for myself over and over and over again, is that I have to claim that identity now. It has to happen now, not waiting until I have the proof that says, see all the reasons why I'm a healer now, right? Like why I'm good enough now, why I'm worthy now of calling myself a healer. No, it's coming. It's like we have to flip the switch which for a mind at first feels really like, what are you doing? Right. But the switch that you're flipping is that it's not about collecting all this proof and collecting all of this like validation, like see now I'm worthy of being called a healer. It's actually coming into the identity of the core truth of your soul is already a healer. Do you know what I mean? Like your soul was a healer for so many lifetimes before this one. So your soul is the healer. It's simply that in this lifetime, as a human, it might be a new thing, but it's not a new thing for your soul. But if the work that you're doing is coming from your soul and coming from your soul's gifts and coming from your soul's truth, then your resume in this lifetime doesn't matter, right? Like your experiences that you have or don't have yet doesn't actually matter so much than the embodiment of this identity that already exists because it's part of your soul and that's who you truly are. Do you see what I'm saying? And what's happening is that your soul is guiding your human to live in the experience that is the embodiment of that truth, the truth that your soul already holds. Okay. Do you see what I'm saying here? So for me, the way that started was that it was like, I remember the guidance coming through to be like, okay, you have to call yourself an angelic healer, right? Like You are the angelic healer. You have to call yourself that." And it was like early on when I switched my like business and started to do this spiritual work and talking about the angels and all the things. It was like I had to say, "I'm the angelic healer. I am the angelic healer." And I remember at first being like, what? No, I don't have all of the years of experience that would make me qualified to do that and all of the things." And the reminder that kept coming through is it's not about your human, it's about your soul. It's about who your soul is in this lifetime, right? It's about that energy coming through and claiming that identity, right? So it's us claiming the identity of who we are on a soul level, not who you've been in your human life up until this point, but who you are on a soul level. And so when we can claim that energy, then our human naturally over time becomes that, right? It's the embodiment of that and it becomes more natural to say it and do it and be it and all the things, right? So, my current practice right now, who I what the next kind of level of my soul's identity that I'm like, "Oh, yeah, like yeah, you're right. This is what I got to do," is author, right? Like that is what I'm playing with right now. That is what I'm practicing. That is what I'm saying like I am an author. I am a writer, right? And really feeling what that means. And it gives me the same feeling as way back when I was like, oh my gosh, angelic healer, what? You know? But the only way that I truly became and embodied the energy of the archangel channel of the angelic healer was by saying it and speaking it and claiming that identity now, right? Like at that point in that present moment. Same thing with this, right? As I'm saying, sharing this with you now with author, the energy of author, the energy of writer, I'm claiming it now. And so as we claim it, as that's how we become it. Do you see what I'm saying? So, yes, you're going to do this before you feel ready. Yes, you're going to say that you are a healer before you feel ready to say that. While your mind is questioning you and asking like, "But you don't have all this experience and who says that and where's your proof and you're not validated. You like I haven't approved you yet for this." And it's like, "Okay, mind. That's great. But this is who I am. This is who I really am." You know? And so and so as you claim that, it also kind of creates this deeper level of commitment to becoming that, right? Like how many people, me included, have said, well, one day this is going to happen, or one day I'm going to be this person. One day I will be a healer, right? One day. And as if we continue to keep that in the future, it's going to continue to be in the future, some point, some arbitrary point in the future, right? Like we don't actually know when. We're just going to sometime leave it somewhere out there, right? Like arm's length away from us rather than it being here in the now, right? So when we claim it here in the now, that's where we're actually are in the full commitment, right? We've made the full commitment to this identity and to this version of ourselves to say, yes, this is who I'm becoming. Whereas if we keep it over here and we're like, well, one day, then it's like, well, I'm not really committed to it yet. Like, I don't have to commit to you yet, right? I don't have to commit to you. Like, you can just stay over there. Maybe one day, you know what I mean? It's like if you think of it in the sense of a relationship, right? Being in a relationship with someone when you're like you commit to that person or you're in that deeper connection to them, it's like you're committed to them. Whereas if you keep someone at an arm's length, you're like, well, yeah, I don't really have to be committed to you because like you're somewhere over there, you're kind of further away from me, so maybe one day I'll be committed to you. Right? Like think of it that way. So it's the same thing with your identity. It's the same thing with who you truly are. We have to claim it now. So my invitation for you is to start to claim this identity for yourself as a healer or as a spiritual leader, as a spiritual teacher, as whatever it is that you are desiring, who you desire to be, what you know your calling is, whatever that title is for you, if you want to call it that. Start to claim it now. Start to claim it today. Start to claim it when it feels uncomfortable, because that's the only way that it'll actually become the embodiment, and the only way that it will actually become a commitment of who you are becoming in this moment right now, rather than sometime in the future, which we don't really know when or whatever. You know what I mean? So that's a huge thing here. Let's see. Beautifully said. Yay. Thank you, Jenny. Healer felt weird to me because I still want to be a scientist and a healer until I realized I can help heal the environment through my scientific work. So it's really all healing. Yes. Yes, 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 exactly. And at first, it's like your mind was like, well, you got to pick one. You can't be scientist and a healer. What do you mean? Right. And then it's actually, wait, why not? Why can't I be both? And that's exactly it. It's like you're using your spiritual gifts as a healer combined with your like practical scientific knowledge, and you're bringing the two together, right? Like, how incredible is that, where you get to bring those, like who you are, like your human like skills and knowledge, and then bring it together with your spiritual connection and truth, and gifts in that way. Like, how incredible is that? I love that. I'm a visual artist currently moving towards poet as well, and I can really feel the brain saying, "No way, you're not qualified." Yeah, I hear you. I've always felt that writer is in there somewhere deeper, but have struggled with it for human reasons. Yeah, totally, totally hear you. I know exactly what you mean. And so this is such a perfect place, like, for everyone who's listening, and these great examples. It's like, okay, let's, like, your invitation is to practice saying, I'm a healer, or I'm a poet, or whatever the thing is for you that you've like put at an arm's length away from you. We're going to bring it right here, and be committed to it. Okay, so that is your invitation with that, and that embodiment acceptance of your identity, and that's how you become it. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about as we come to the end of this. So again, if you guys have any questions so far about what I've shared, please feel free to post that in the chat. If you're watching me on the recording, you can post it in the comments below. But the other thing with all of this, right, that is, I think, something else that we can all relate on a human level with this specific journey, or with anything that is a big leap, is that taking that big leap of faith, right, into this path, or into creating this journey for yourself, right, to really become a healer, right? It's kind of like we can look at it and be like, well, that's a big risk. That's a risk, you know? And I've been through many of those, right? It was a risk when I decided to switch from trying to do like nutrition and health coaching into spirituality, and being a spiritual teacher and healer and channel. Like, that was a risk. It was also a risk when I was invited to come be a part of a retreat in London, right? It was my first ever like in-person experience, retreat, all of the things. It was like a co-hosted thing. And like, I remember thinking about it for a second, being like, oh my God, like that's a big move, right? Both financially and just in general. It was like, that was a huge thing. Leaving my corporate job to do this full time, that's a risk. That's a risk. Like, so many things, so many big pivotal moments on our journey feel like a big risk. They feel like a big, like, let me think about that for a second, right? Like, nothing that is a big transformation is ever something that's just like, yeah, whatever, like, let's do that. We like, there's risk involved, right? And that's understandable. That's our human mind, keep trying to keep us safe, all of the things. Like, are you sure you're ready for this? All of that chit chat that goes on in our mind, and it's all normal. It's all part of the process. So the question is, when you feel that, like, okay, like, I see this, I see the vision, I see the clarity, I see, what's happening, like, it's time to take that leap of faith. Because the thing that I'll say is that the only way that you'll actually move into the forward momentum of whatever you've identified in the journaling prompts that we talked about earlier, the only way that you'll move forward in that, and actually living that life and actually creating it, is by taking action. And oftentimes that action feels like a risk. It feels like a leap of faith. It feels like oh my God, what am I doing? Right? Like, that is a huge part, but that's the only way that we actually start to move the needle forward, right? And start to build that momentum, and start to actually live in that life, because you can have all the clarity and all the vision and all the like, okay, I see, I understand it, whatever. But until you start to take action towards it, you'll still feel stuck, or you'll still feel like, why isn't it happening, or whatever. Right. So this is an important part of the conversation, is this big risk. How do I know that's the right time to take the leap of faith? And how do I actually start to take the leap of faith? Right. So I want to walk you through that as we kind of come towards the end of this training, and to support you with like whatever that next move is for you. You can use this to really kind of like sit with that risk feeling, like, oh my god, this is a big risk, and also sit with like, okay, I'm ready to take this leap of faith, right? And really move in that with the energy of empowerment, rather than, oh my gosh, I just screwed everything up, right? So that's what I want to lead you through right now. Let me see. I am the tool teacher and ascension guide. Yes. Oh, that feels so good. I love that so much for you, Jenny. So good. Okay. So, um, the first thing that you're going to look at when you're considering whatever the next action is for you, right? And you're like, okay, this is going to be a leap of faith. This is going to be like, this feels like a risk. The first thing that you're going to do is you're going to ask yourself, does this align with my bigger vision? Does this align with my bigger vision? Okay. So if I think back to all of the things that I like, the key big moments, it's like I said something related to this in one of the previous trainings, but it's kind of like we have our kind of like big moments, and then we have the micro moments. So there's been a lot of little ones along the way of like risk and kind of like, okay, is this a good move? Like leap of faith, etc. And then there's been the big ones, right? Like I shared a few of those examples. Another big risk leap of faith moment was packing all my bags and moving to California. Like that was another big risk moment. So anyways, like there's a lot of different moments like that we experience in our life. And stepping into our calling and into our soul purpose, I believe, is a very common one that we feel as well. Even though, if you think about it logically, you would think like, oh yeah, like that's an obvious leap of faith to do. It's your soul purpose, right? But when we're in it and you're faced with it and you're like, well, my human is still like in a part of this too, and is living this life and it feeling all the feels. That's a huge thing to really be aware of. So the first thing that you want to do or ask yourself is, does this align with my bigger vision? Right? Does doing this thing, taking this path, saying yes to this opportunity, whatever the situation is for you, like, does this align with your bigger vision? Or does it feel like maybe a distraction? Or does it feel like, well, I'm doing like, maybe this is, like a sidestep in some way. So you want to see, does it align with your bigger vision? Claiming my inner Sagittarius has helped a lot. She got the strength for all these things. Yes, I love that. That's so, so awesome. Yes. And that's a huge thing too, is like seeing these aspects of you that actually does hold the strength and the power and the resilience, and the capability to do these things. So I love that. That's such a great example. Claiming your inner Sagittarius. So if anyone has a Sagittarius in their astrology, like, claim that for yourself. That's such a good one. Okay, so the second thing, so does this align with my bigger vision? The first one. Okay, let's say the answer is yes. Yes, it does align with my bigger vision. Okay, cool. Number two, do I feel the intuitive yes? Right? Like when you think of something, there's always an intuitive hit that comes through. And then there's also then secondarily after that is always the mind that comes through after that. The mind that otherwise convinces us, no, it's not the right time. No, this, no, that, like maybe blah, 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 right? Like our mind likes to really come in and like be loud and jumble things up. But what you want to listen for and really tune into is the intuitive yes. The intuitive gut check that feels really good. Yes, to me, right? Like that's the feeling that you're looking for. And that's going to look different for everyone. One of the key ways that I like to teach it, or for people to start with experimenting, if you're not sure what your intuitive yes feels like, is to feel how it feels within your body, right? So if you think of the thing and your body feels expansive when you think of like saying yes to that opportunity or taking that leap of faith, taking that big risk, and your body feels expansive, that's your intuitive yes. If when you think of it, your body contracts and your body is like, ah, you know, that doing that, then it's an intuitive no. And it doesn't mean like no forever. It just might mean no, not right now. And then you might check in a little bit later and then it's a yes. So that's the other thing to just remember with that. But that's a really great tool to use if you're not sure what your intuitive yes feels like. And then there's other ways, like depending on the person and their experience and their connection to themselves, they might feel in different ways as well. So really, in general, like getting familiar with what your intuitive yes feels like is really powerful as a whole, like when making decisions along your journey. Okay, so that's the next thing. The third thing then that you want to look at is, what are my fears saying? Like, you don't want to just like push your fears to the side. You actually want to look at your fears and listen to them in the sense of like, okay, I'm hearing you out, not listen to them as in like do what your fear is saying, but more in the sense of, let me just hear you out, like, let me hear you out. I see, and the fear is really just the ego trying to tell you something, or the ego wanting to be heard, right? So it is important for you to take a moment and be like, okay, all right, ego, like feel like you're sitting down for a nice little chat with your ego. All right, ego, what do you have to share? What do you want to say to me? I'm here. I'm listening. What's up? What's going on? How can I help you today? That kind of thing. And so, like really just seeing, what are your fears saying? Like what, what part of your ego just wants to be heard right now? And allowing yourself to hear them out, for the fears to be heard out, just simply for the fact of like, yes, I understand you, ego. Yes, I hear you. And also kind of like when you actually look at your fears like dead on, they often lose their power. They often kind of like start to, like, if the fear feels like this because it's somewhere in the back of your mind, but then as soon as you start to look at it, it starts to like kind of shrink. You know what I mean? It's almost like this like deflation, so to speak, that happens, that then is like, oh, yes, the fear is there, but it doesn't feel so like strong and so like rah, like so intimidating, right? It's kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, I understand. That's understandable that you are afraid. But then it also gives you the opportunity to lean into your own power, right? And your own belief in yourself, because that's an important part of taking the leap of faith, is for you to really come into a place of empowerment, belief, and trust within yourself. That's the core thing, right? That's the biggest thing when it comes to any sort of risk or any sort of anything. It's like, well, I do have a solid foundation and connection to my own power, and a solid foundation and connection to my own belief in me and who I am and what I'm capable of. And that is all that you need. That's all you need, right? So when you are looking at the fears, it actually gives you an opportunity to go inwards and to extract that power and extract that faith and extract that trust in yourself that maybe, that's always been there, that maybe you weren't really fully connected with before. So that's another thing that happens when we do this. Okay, so that's what you want to do. Number 3 is look at what your fears are saying and just kind of acknowledge that, and like, okay, but also this power and faith and trust and strength that exists within me. Remember that one? Yeah, that exists there too. And then the fears don't feel so big. And then the fourth thing is that you want to ask yourself, what does this next level of expansion mean for me? Right? So whenever we're taking a big leap of faith, whenever we're taking a big risk, there's a meaning, there's an expansion there, and there's a meaning behind that, right? So you want to really look at, what does that next level of expansion, like, because your leap of faith is going to expand you. Your leap of faith is going to, again, ask you to dig in and extract a deeper level of trust, faith, empowerment within you by looking at those fears that come up, right? So what does that expansion mean to you, right? What does that expansion mean to you? Who do you get to become because of that expansion, right? What do you get to, what are you able to hold now because of that expansion? You know what I mean? And what does that, again, what does that mean to you? What does it mean to you? That's what you really want to get clear on and really connect with, is what does this next level of expansion mean to you? And so then from there, when you have had that intuitive yes that says yes, when you felt like, okay, yes, this is aligned with my bigger vision. Okay, yes, the fears are there, but I am also now connected to a deeper sense of my power, strength, trust, all of the things. Then, number five is as you take that big leap of faith, you can also set the intention behind it because you know what it means to you. And you can set that intention of, ooh, this is what is happening, right? Like as I take this big leap of faith, which still feels a little scary, but I also am connected to my power, so I'm okay. And and as you do it, you're like, "Oh my gosh, like this leap of faith that I'm taking right now I'm becoming the next version of me, right? I am with this big leap of faith that I'm taking. I am gaining knowledge and a greater awareness of whatever XYZ, whatever the thing is that's related to it, right? I am being developed into the next version of leadership for myself, right? Like whatever the thing is for you, and really thinking about how it's developing you, your gifts, your leadership, your sense of empowerment, your connection in whatever way to spirit, to the divine, to whatever, right? Your knowledge, like really seeing how it's impacting you in that way, right? Like what is your intention for this big leap of faith, and then how does that translate to your impact? How does that translate to your vision, right? How does that translate to your expression of yourself? So you want to link it all together and see how, oh, okay, this leap of faith is actually very meaningful and not me just blindly like closing my eyes, taking a leap of faith and hoping for the best, right? Like that, like yes, you could do that. And yes, the divine will, like that, the saying of like take a leap of faith and the divine will catch you or whatever. I don't know if that's a real saying, but you know what I mean? Like, yes, we could like blindly just like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this and like hopefully I get caught by the divine and I'll be okay," which is yes, you will always be okay. But it's much more empowering and much more powerful and intentional for you to go through this process when you're about to take a big risk, when you're about to take that leap of faith, so that you can really like hit the ground running and really land on the other side of this and be like, whoa, like that was incredible and powerful and so much more than I could have ever imagined. My expansion from this is so much more than I could have ever predicted or imagined or whatever. You know what I mean? So that's the other side of this that you want to um really be aware of for with all of this. Okay, so this is how we bring our vision to life. This is how we step into the true, like into that clarity, into that vision for yourself. Like you've taken these conversations that we've talked about and really like now you get to hit the ground running with this, like, and take that next step, that leap of faith with whatever that thing might be for you. Okay. Okay. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Let me know what is coming up for you. Let me know how you're feeling, all of the things. So, as you all know, and I'm going to check in on the comments. So, post in there, let me know what's coming up for you and how you're feeling. As you all know, the Angelic Healer Certification Program is something that I teach. I open up doors about twice a year ish. And the doors are open right now for a limited time. So, doors are closing very soon in just a few days. And this is a program that is a big leap of faith, right? This is a program that is like a big, like, whoa, like people have questions from all, like, am I ready for this? Is this the right time? Like, is this for me? Like, whatever, all those things. And so go through this process. If this is something that you have been thinking about, that you've been considering, that you've been like kind of had in the back of your mind, go take yourself through this process to really see, your soul will always guide you to the right thing. And I've seen it time and time and time and time and time again. The people who join this program are like, whoa, like this was more than I could have ever imagined for myself. Like the things that I'm extracting from this is more than I could have ever thought possible. Right. And that's something that just happens when we're in that close connection with the divine, with our intention, with living in this truth and this energy, you know? So I want you to think about what you have set the intention for yourself for this year for yourself, right? Whether this was a year that you're like, this is the year that I'm gonna step out into, who I'm meant to be. This is the year that I'm gonna create this. This is the year that I'm going to, you know, honor my true self, like whatever the thing is that you desire for yourself for this year. And I want you to think of this container, if, of course, it's being a healer and really owning your gifts and stepping into your truth is something that is a part of that vision for your year. And think of it as an accelerated, like, in the airports where it's like you can go on that like conveyor belt thing and you go faster, right? Or you could just walk alongside it. Think of it that way. This is a 4-month program that's like that conveyor belt that you're just like, well, like going much faster, right? Because it's accelerating the energy for you. And that's what happens when we do things like this, taking an action step that feels aligned, that feels like, okay, this is a leap of faith, but that really is something that we're called towards, right? Because your soul is literally being like, this is your next step. And trusting that what is meant to come from it will come from it, right? So this is the conveyor belt, and I can't necessarily tell you where you're going to land after the conveyor belt, but what I do know for sure is that it's going to accelerate you on your journey and on your path of who you're meant to be, and becoming the healer, being confident in your gifts, being confident in who you are, and having that clear vision for what you're creating and what you're stepping into, right? Now, the other thing too that's happening, like if we think of it on a collective level, and I talked about it in my June energy reading video, which came out today, by the way. Happy June 1st, by the way. I can't believe it's June, but whatever. And like this overall energy that's coming through starting in June and unraveling over the summer is this energy of like really bringing to life this next level, this next version of ourselves, right? June is really about bringing to life like that creation and that energy that we know deep inside exists within us and what we're being called to do. Like June, and like I said, the energy and throughout the summer, like into July, August, is all around that and elevating us through that. So if this is something that, again, you've been considering, thinking about, whatever, and whether it's the Angelic Healer program or something else, but really this energy around you and what you're creating for yourself and who you are becoming, this is the perfect time, because collectively it's what we're being called towards. Collectively, we're being invited into this energy, and it's up to us, like we talked about, I think in day one, it's up to us to say yes to that, right? So the Angelic Healer Certification Program, doors are open for the next few days. They're closing soon. This is like such a powerful, amazing, beautiful program that is not just going to teach you the skills and help you to open up to your gifts, but it's also about helping you to develop that confidence, that level of empowerment within who you are as a healer, as well as giving you the clarity, the vision, the know-how of how to bring that to life. So it's like the full thing. Everything is there. Everything is designed and created to really support you to, as you walk out of that program, it's like, oh yes, this is who I am, and this is what I'm creating, and these are the gifts that I'm here to share. And not doing it from a sense of like, well, these are the gifts, but I'm not ready yet, but really in the space of, I'm ready for this, claiming your role, claiming your place in this collective in terms of who you're meant to be as a healer. Okay. So I'm going to leave the link for the Angelic Healer program in the chat. In the chat. If you're watching this on the recording, the link is in the description of this video. Okay, let me see. Let me answer your questions. Let me know. I'm wondering how we might look at. Oh, actually, wait, I skipped a few comments. You're welcome, Maria. And Jenny, I love that you're feeling inspired. Okay, question. Wondering how we might look at dealing with our leap of faith not working out right away, like knowing that it's all a part of it, but when the struggles and doubts come in, um, I started my business recently and I feel I'm on the right path, but I'm not making any money yet and sometimes get lost and worried. Um that's such a great question, because yes, it is about, a part of it is There's a couple things. One is seeing what expectations we hold, or if we have a certain, like, it has to work out this way, it has to be this specific way. I know that. I'm trying to think. Probably like all of my leaps of faith that I've taken. Yeah, all of the big moves that I've done haven't necessarily been the way that I thought they were going to work out, you know. Um and so it's seeing that the big leaps and the big things that you're doing, it's developing you, right? I see it as like a development of my character, development of who I am, a development in terms of my deeper knowing and sense of connection to myself, that all is leading up to what I thought that leap of faith was going to be about. You know what I mean? So that's one part of it. And then I think the biggest thing too that often trips us up is the time aspect, right? The time is like our human is like, it needs to happen now. It needs to happen right now. And so it's instead of like it being like that's the only way, or also if you're thinking of it in the sense of like this is a thing that is going to like solve all my problems, instead looking at it in the perspective of, okay, I'm in this energy. I've taken this leap of faith, right? I am in this leap of faith. I am focused on continuing to connect to my truth, my power, my purpose, what I know to be true about me, and then leaning into the divine and saying, okay, how would you have me show up next? Or what do I do from here? Right? Like we are still humans. We do need to have an income, right? And make money to be able to live and do all these things. So angels, God, universe, whatever, how would you have me show up? Or what are you developing inside of me to help me to become that version of myself, right? Who is making an income from the business, or who is, showing up in this whatever way. So you want to then ask for that support, because kind of like, okay, I took this leap of faith. All right, universe, what's next now? What's happening? Because this isn't exactly working out the way that I thought it would. But, you know, in this process, I am continuing to lean into what I know to be true within me and who I am. Okay, so now universe, your turn. Show me what the next step is from here. You know what I mean? And kind of like looking at it as a like co-creative process that you're doing, because it's not just you, right? It's not just you. The universe is there, the angels, God, like however you want to think of it, but that energy, that spiritual energy, is there to support you as well. So whatever that next step is, or the step that you've taken, now it's about, okay, what is this teaching me? How is this developing my character? Who am I becoming in this process? What are the lessons that I'm learning as I'm going through this? And okay, God, what's the next step for me now? Where do I go from here? What do I need to do next? What do I need to focus on next? And continuing to work in that way to be guided. Okay, so let me know if that makes sense. um Okay. Yes, I feel a snowballing of energy rolling up behind me, not to smash and run me over, but to propel me. Yes, I love that. So good. It's like that gust of wind that just like takes you up and away. Would really love to join the program. Never have enough money. I hope to one day. Yeah, absolutely. It's all in divine timing. All in divine timing. And that's, a huge part of this is like it is a big commitment. And it's part of just like when you commit to the program, it's one of those things where it's the energy that you put towards in that commitment when the time is right for you to do so, it leads you into that specific type of expansion, into specific type of growth that is held within the container, um, which is huge. It's massive. And I'm so excited. This is one of my favorite programs to ever um that I've ever created and that I've, as you guys know, have been running over and over and over again over the years, because it just keeps getting better and better and better. So yeah, so that's what we're doing here. I cannot wait. I cannot wait for every single one of you to, like take whatever the leap of faith is for you, that, whatever that looks like for you, and to allow that unfolding to lead you. It's like what we were talking about, that gust of wind behind you that just like propels you in the momentum forward, despite any snags along the way. It's all part of our growth. It's all part of our experience. It's all part of who we are meant to become. Okay. So, yay, you're so welcome. So welcome. All right. That concludes our 3-day training. I can't believe it's been 3 amazing days with you all. So, thank you all so much for being here, for your energy, for your questions, all of the things. Like I said, for those of you who are watching me on the recording, if you have anything that you want to share, post it in the comments below. The link to the Angelic Healer program, for those of you on the recording, is in the description below this video. And you can always reach out to me personally if you have any questions. So that is it. Doors are closing on June 7th. And then the replays for this workshop are going to be inside of the playlist on this channel if you ever want to revisit. Yay! Awesome. Happy for you to be living your path and facilitating awesome things. Aw, thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate that. And you are so welcome. Awesome. I am sending you all so much love, so many angel blessings. Thank you, Jenny. This program and your teachings are such a gift. I just appreciate you so much. You're amazing. I have so much love for you and all of you here. So I will see you sometime very, very soon. And I'm sending you all the love, all the blessings, and I will talk to you later. Bye.